Justin, by the luck of God, at Cornerstone, they were offering a financial, you did some, I can't even remember now, but it was in 2019, and I walked in, and I was like, there's no way I can do this. There's no way I can do this. And I was like, it won't hurt me to try. So I went. I had over $100,000 in debt. I was a single mother divorced with 2 kids, was raising them on my own, and had no life at Canada that time. I mean, I was going to do better at this, I promise. And thinking that I was never going to get out. I mean, I had student loans from 20 years ago. I had no idea. I had no idea how I was going to help my kids get through college because I was trying to get them there. And so I buckled down. I did the hard work. I got out of all of my debt. I worked a second job. I worked a lot of hours. I went through with nothing for a long time, but I did it. And I did it because of him. And it was actually within this past year, my son, who's now, so my kids are now, because they were 18 and 19 at the time, and my son is now 24, and he came to me and was like, Mom, I know you did all of this. I watched you do this. Can you help me? How do you budget? How do I do this? And so I got to share that with my son, who is now also debt-free, paid off his car, didn't have a whole lot, but again, is on the right path forward. And so I just want you to at least have a small grasp of the number of lives that you touch. And it just trickles down. And you'll never know, but I can say, after that, because I never thought I'd have a house. I went, built a new home, will have it paid off. I'm going to be able to retire when I'm 60, and everything is paid off, everything will be done, and yes, so it's doable. But just the number of people that you touch that you may not even realize. And so it was, when I got the invite to come, I was like, an opportunity to celebrate you, because you give, I watched you, you just give everything, and you may not always see it coming back, but it's everywhere.
All right, who's got the next story?
Yeah, so my name is Aaron Van Gelder. I have not been a coaching client of Justin's, but I've known Justin and Jessica through Connection Group, through Cornerstone Church. And so it kind of feels like I've been on the journey, we've been on the journey as a Connection Group together. And it's just been cool to see Justin and Jessica's passion and also their patience with each other when they're working in close proximity over a long period of time. I think also their openness and just sharing the journey with other people and being open to sharing that with Connection Group along the way as well. And kind of the idea of church as family was really lived out in that context. So just appreciate seeing their family work through the book and the process, and just realize then that sometimes the process is arduous, difficult, challenging, but also really joyful, and a lot of good things coming out of it. So yeah, it's been great to be a small part of that journey with you all as well. So it's been great to see everyone put the work in, and now being able to celebrate some of the results as well.
Wow, what a journey. I've known Josh
Justin for 13 years and 8 months. Jessica would say, just call it 14. 14 years. Kind of the beginning of some of this journey. I had an insurance agency down in Des Moines, Windsor Heights, my wife Debbie, and we were Dave Ramsey, what do they call it, property casualty. What was it called?
ELPs?
Yeah, ELPs, and yeah, the memory is the first thing to go. And of course, Justin was doing the counseling down there. It was just, I couldn't, I retired from preferred risk. I went insurance after that. I need to talk to you about church insurance. I can help you. Those are 37 years and know a lot of people and that. So I couldn't figure out how this program was going to work. How could you get enough people in Des Moines, Iowa, and that small area to make it work? And it was a struggle. This guy struggled. The family struggled. Yeah, Jessica. Yeah. It was. I saw it. At the same time, I see these people coming in, and they're not just broke, they're broken. And the stories you're sharing are really incredible. But I got to see these people week after week, month after month. It was just an incredible thing that you did for those folks. It was just amazing. And thank God there's a Justin and Jessica and family. I'm gonna pull something on you here. If you go back on YouTube and go Strong Tower Financial Hour, do a search on that. Back 13, 14 years ago, Justin had a podcast that he did, and they're out on the internet. They're there forever. So this is a young Justin, with it's just like watching the Dave Ramsey thing. You were incredibly talented on that. My work on this was whenever somebody didn't show up. Hey Bob, I need you to come down and be on the show. And what extemporaneous from the heart. It's great. So thank you for what you've done. Thank you for how you made the world a better place.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that show. I was on that thing with you oftentimes.
It's out there.
Actually, my kids found like the ad that I did on there, and it was like one of the first things I ever did in front of a camera. And I just remember being like really awkward with it, and kids still make fun of me about that. Thank you.
People looking in the window.
Yeah, who's got that next door?
So when we had our youngest son, we were drowning in debt, and Justin had been doing coaching for a little bit, and so we're like, okay, let's give this a shot. And so we came into his office, and we're kind of Diet Dew huge fans. And we come in with 20 ounces, and we put it on the counter just to get ready to talk to him. And one of the first things he said is, "What are you doing with those?" And he goes, "Why didn't you get the fountain drink?" And I was just going, whoa, this guy is serious. And to this day, I still feel guilty when I grab a 20 ounce over the fountain drink. But Justin, we met with him for, 6 months or so, and he got us debt free. We got our house acreage paid off by the time we were 40. And he has just been a huge impact on our life and our kids' life. And we had the opportunity to join a budget club, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago now with the Bennetts, at the time with 3 other entrepreneurial couples. And I remember the night before, I hardly slept because we had a housekeeper. And I go, Justin is not going to be okay with me having a housekeeper. He's going to tell me I have to get rid of it. And I do not want to get rid of it. And so we just went there, and it was great, and it was fine, and it was just this group of people. We still meet to this day every about 6 weeks, and we share our net worths, we share our struggles, we share our joys, and it's just been fun to witness and see firsthand your guys' struggles with this book, your joys with this book, and just everything in between, and we're just glad we got to see this front row seat for it.
I feel like this half of the room's being a little lazy. Anybody for here?
I'll move this way so I can see you. So my name is Tiffany. I live up around the Fort Dodge area. Justin had come to our church and did a seminar, but I wasn't able to go. But the following week, all the women in my small group were like ranting about this seminar. So I got a hold of Justin on Facebook, and around that point of my life, I had been divorced for about a year. My dad had passed away unexpectedly, and so I had some money that I inherited, and I just didn't know what to do with it. So that was my whole plan, was to get a hold of him and be like, what do I do? Do I invest it? Like, what do I do with this money? And Justin turned my world like right side up. I was like, my finances were horrible. They were, I was like living way outside my means, and I have 2 young girls. And so I was living basically on my own for the first time in my life, and Justin like helped me. So he's a coach, but he ended up getting me an advisor. He found like a tax person for me. I mean, I have this whole team of people that help support me financially because of Justin. And so, but the coolest thing I think about Justin is he's so faith-based. And so how cool is it that your financial coach prays for you? And so God really does use you as a vessel. I mean, you're so amazing. And just thank you for being obedient to him and just like working on your strengths and using those to help other people. So thank you so much, and congrats on your book.
Any more?
Thank you, Steve. I'm loud, so if you need to turn that down, that's fine. Well, it's good to see all of you out here tonight. I see a few of you who are going to get technical at some point. I see Matt, Justin back there. I'm a basketball official in the state, so 18 years doing this. Good to see the 40s again. Haven't seen you guys in a long time, so good to see you again. And Daryl, good to see Daryl too. I'm Zach Sloter. I met Justin 3-4 years ago, Vision Basketball, and yeah, he was just a nice guy, nice young man as a player. You know, his son, he was great. Yeah, my story is just not the best, but I tell you what, it's the best now. So my wife and I have been married almost coming up on 14 years in a couple weeks, and which is the best. And yeah, at one point we were debt-free, and everything was great. Living in a camper full-time, still live in a camper full-time, we just enjoy it. And we were looking forward to buying a house at some point, and then a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, I got a wild hair and said, oh, this day trading thing looks awesome. I should learn how to day trade. And I'm just telling you right now, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not a scam, but man, you can't. It's so hard. Don't fall in that trap. And my sister-in-law was getting married. My wife is focused on her sister. She's getting married, all these other things. We were not communicating whatsoever. We had never done a budget together. I had been the guy who said, oh, I make the money, you just handle the money, you tell me if anything important comes up. You gotta be together on your finances, and we weren't. So I went ahead and went back into debt. Didn't have a credit card. We took out 2 credit cards. I put my camper up as collateral, went out to Utah for a week to learn how to day trade. Couldn't do it. $30,000 in debt. Financially stressed, out of my mind. I have to work these many hours if I don't go donate plasma, if I don't go get as many refereeing jobs in the state as much as I can, you know, and it was pretty awful. I didn't want to know the mess. I knew it was a mess, and so January of this year, I just hauled the camper. I told my wife, hey, we're doing a budget meeting tonight. Zach, I don't think you want to see what you're going to see. I told her I need to see it. I need to know what's going on. And that was the providence of God. So took a look at it, and yeah, the camper, still had to pay off the camper. We had credit card debt, 4 credit cards. Learned that we took our entire vacation to Texas on credit cards. And I found out why we didn't have any Texas barbecue while we were down there. We didn't have enough money to get home if we didn't have gas money on the card. That guilt and that shame just flooded over me. It was really hard. But I felt hope. We started cutting up cards because I worked extra jobs. She had been working at the local bakery in town for about a year, right? Around there. And we were slowly, got snowballing, getting rid of the smallest debt, working up, all that. But I could not get over the guilt and the shame of what I had done this. You know, I put my family into this position. And I wasn't depressed, but man, I was getting there. And my wife, God bless her, she told me, Zach, I don't see you as a failure. God doesn't see you as a failure. You have to forgive yourself. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Well, fast forward to February probably of this year. I was working a contest for Matt and Justin with Fast Break. And Justin and I were chatting or whatever. We'd always chat about finances and things like that. And me and my brother-in-law, Jim here, he and our other brother-in-law, Silas, we had started a podcast recently. And said, oh, Justin, you're writing a book? That's great. Well, you should be on the podcast. It's like, that's great, dude. Let's do this. And so, had him on about a month before we recorded the interview. He sent all of us a copy of the book so we could read over it. And doing my due diligence, I'm reading through, and I like reading, so I'm reading. It's so compelling, the stories. It's put together extremely well. I couldn't put it down. And then I got to page 37. Can you pull up page 37 there, Jim? Just real quick. I really want to read this because this is really what helped turn it for me. Thank you. See, I was talking about the, you just pulled my phone, honey. Different page 37 on the phone. I apologize. Here's what it says. Just a quote from Isaiah 43:18. Do not remember the past events. Pay no attention to things of old. And this is Justin speaking now. To move on and be successful, we've got to let go of the shame from past blunders that drag us down. Don't expect overnight change because of the impact of these mistakes. They might not hit until you peel back the layers of your financial situation. But once you commit and start to see results, it will get easier every day to forgive yourself. Don't forget this as you go through each level of the pyramid. So the financial pyramid, you'll read about that in the book. Even if you still regret at this point in the journey, forgive yourself and forget what is behind. And it's that took that providentially, by the grace of God, that so it turned it for me. I texted my wife. I was so excited. Megan, I can forgive myself. I'm not a failure. And happy to say we're about to pay off $9,300 in debt coming up here in the next week or so. And God willing, by the end of the year, we'll be debt-free, ready to buy a house, move out of a camper. You know, it's pretty great. So thank you all. Thank you, Justin.
I'm sure if we let every single person here would have a story that you can share, and I would encourage you, share those, whether it's with each other, whether that's out on Facebook or social media, book review, right? Even if it's not necessarily a specific review about the book, add it on about an experience with Justin. So I'd encourage you to share those stories as many different ways as you possibly can to let other people know kind of what's going on. So we've got a few more book giveaways real quick. I don't need any, the last time it was just to keep you up here so we can get the flowers in time. So that was part of the ploy. But all right, next winner is Amy Black. All right. And Seth Redmond.
Yes.
Justin wanted to read a few sections out of the book, so I'm going to pass this back over to Justin here for a little bit.
Thanks, Steve. Wow, just very humbled just by some of you guys sharing your story, and some parts of the story I didn't even know, so thank you guys very much for your willingness to share how this has impacted you. And yes, please share this with everybody, and it's not about me, it's just about I want others to hear this, whether it's forgiving yourself, whether it's paying off debt, it is possible you can do this. And throughout writing the book, there have been two stories that I've had a lot of people who had an early read of this book. They've said over and over again, these are the stories they remember. And so the first story I'm going to read is more going to be a warning. A warning I think we all should hear. But then one, you're going to hear something about our family in the book. So in chapter 5, if you have your book, it's like I'm asking you to open your Bibles up, but if you turn into your book, chapter 5, page 71, in the book, I'm going to read the first part of that. And before I do, I just want to remind you again, this is a team. So Zach, you mentioned that Isaiah verse. I can't take credit for that verse in there. That was actually an editor that said, I think that verse should go in there. And I just think that's so cool, just how other people, and they don't even want to be known to be in the book, they're just a part of it, and I just think that's so cool. So I'm going to read this first story to you guys, and I'll apologize in advance if I don't read the words, because I use this story a lot in my seminars, and it may sound a little bit different in the book than how I do it, so if you go, that wasn't in the book, that's because I'm used to saying it by memory. One of my oldest clients was an 81-year-old woman. Her name was Betty. Betty had $12,000 of debt and was struggling to make ends meet. This incredible woman who was smart, charismatic, and a great worker was putting in 60 hours a week for $9 an hour. Yeah, you might want to go or in this case, hear it again. 60 hours a week for $9 an hour. No, this wasn't 2004. She had been working for over 50 years at a steady, stable job. This woman had plenty of skills and solid references. If she was working 60 hours a week at age 81, imagine how hard she was working at age 20 and 30. Betty and her husband had never been on a budget before, so when he died, she had to continue working. Even after all those years in the workforce, Betty was still trying to get out of debt and reach her much-deserved retirement. That's when she reached out to me for some help. Of course, the first thing I did was get her on a budget. Each month, we'd plug in all the numbers into our budget spreadsheet, and Betty would stick to it. Despite staying disciplined, after each monthly session, she would ask, Justin, where did my money go? You might notice that might have been where the title was coming from. But we tried. I was confused every time. I calmly gestured to the spreadsheet with her that we did together, and Betty, it's all right here. Unfortunately, each time I said it, she wasn't satisfied. There was no burst of realization, no wash of cool relief, no wave of newfound confidence. She looked dismayed every session. This is not the way you want a client to look after they successfully complete and follow a budget. I wanted her to feel encouraged, empowered, but Betty made it clear, her hopeless stare, that something was not happening. After the third session and her third round of asking me the same question, I finally responded differently. Now, Betty, you've asked me this question every time we've met. I feel like we must be talking about different things. Can you explain what you mean? She gave a big sigh and looked right at me, and she said with a strong but regretful voice, Justin, my husband and I worked our butts off for 5 decades. And I can honestly say I do not know where our hard-earned money went. I was breathless. And by the way, Bob, that was in your office. Can you imagine faithfully working day after day, sacrificing so much to make a good life for your family, and then at 81 years old have nothing to show for it? I will say Betty had plenty of wealth outside of money. She had a strong faith in God, a close family, a great personality, and an unbeatable Scrabble winning streak. But as far as money and significant assets, zilch, nada, nothing. Before I could respond, she got a spark of ferocity in her eyes, and she waved her finger in me only a grandma could get away with. You tell everyone younger than me. I think everyone in this room applies. I just completely lost the page. I'll just go by memory. Get on a budget. You don't want to be me. 81 years old, in debt, and working 60 hours a week. She was a great client, but served a great warning. To not wait to do this. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So that was a huge story. And she worked to pay off the debt, and she was a lot of fun. I really remember her, and I learned she passed away a year ago, but just a great, great lady, and was grateful that God closed our paths together. But another story I want to read, a little more uplifting, to hear a little bit more about our sacrifice and embarrassing kids at the same time. So that's always fun. So you can turn in this book now to page 181 towards the end. We're in chapter 12. And we're talking about how hope, there's a pyramid I have in here. Yes, it's a pyramid scheme. No, I'm just kidding. So towards the middle of 181, it said, we start with this. We laugh about it now, but one of the hardest parts of my debt-free journey, where I almost lost sight of the finish line, happened over a decade ago on my daughter Julia's birthday. We were in the thick of our journey, and we almost never went out to eat. However, to celebrate this occasion, we gave our daughter the option of getting a gift or going out to dinner, and she eagerly chose to eat out. So with a $50 budget, pre-COVID, by the way, for context, we packed up all 5 kids and headed to a restaurant called Hickory Park. Oh, you guys know what that is here. Julia really wanted to get there because she would get the free ice cream and the happy birthday song sung to her. She'd get the most bang for her birthday buck. As we sat down to order, I quickly scanned the menu to determine how are we all going to eat within the budget. With some quick mental math, I figured it all out. Jessica and I would each get a basic entree and water. Each kid would get kids' meal and water, except for the birthday girl. She could have her favorite soft drink. After tax and tip, we would be under budget. But Julia was running her finger over the appetizer section, exploring the options, and my shoulders tightened up a bit. And sure enough, she looked up at me with her big brown eyes and said, "Dad, can we get some cheese balls?" She said sweet and politely. There was no attitude or threatening tween glare you might expect from a 9-year-old. Of course, this made it harder. There was literally no extra money anywhere. And though I loved Julia very much, I would not swipe her debit card for something outside the budget. Though she couldn't understand that compromising the budget would mean compromising the vision we had for our family's future. It would mean stepping off the plan and turning financial freedom from a certain certainty to a fantasy. It sounds silly. It was only cheese balls. But at that moment, I kept my mind focused on the family vacations, her first car, and the bucket of cheese balls I would provide for her in the future if we stuck to it. And regretfully, I told her, "Sorry, sweetheart, no cheese balls." "But Dad," she batted her eyelash with a pleading smile. "No, we can't get cheese balls, but remember, you're going to get ice cream in the birthday song." I said the last part enthusiastically, hoping she'd feel like ice cream was bigger and better than cheese balls. Her pleading smile dropped to a frown, and her head hung, staring at the golden cheese balls displayed on the menu. I felt horrible. What dad wouldn't let their daughter have cheese balls on their birthday? Especially Hickory Park's locally famous deliciously fried balls of cheese. The night went on, everyone happily ate, and Julia got her ice cream. But from then on, I'll never forget that I denied my daughter cheese balls. However, I continued to gain hope through the pyramid. I could count dozens of wins and still make our promising future. As long as I stayed on the plan, someday I wouldn't have to think about having a margin in the budget for cheese balls. This gave me so much hope in that tough season. And now if you flip to the page, we stop the story and we go to other things. We pick the story back up on page 188. The truth became so clear to me, this is years later, by the way. The truth became clear to me when I was speaking a few years ago at a conference and I brought up the cheese ball story. Although it was something trivial, it was generally one of the most eye-opening and difficult situations I had found myself in through our journey. My daughter, Julia, happened to be in the audience that day and heard me tell the story. She'd forgotten about it, that part of her birthday dinner, and was really moved by how much that hurt me. However, she approached me after the conference with the slyest smile on her face and said, "Dad, just saying, you owe me cheese balls." I grinned and we got in the car and we went straight to Hickory Park for some cheese balls. Well, on a spontaneous date, I asked her if all the times I'd said no were worth it in the long run. This question was important to me because everything my coaching system is based on is that the idea that it is worth it. The freedom to go on this spontaneous date without any financial fear, stress, or doubt was worth it. I felt it, but I need to know she felt it too. Without hesitation, she said, "Oh, Dad, 100%. She told me. She could see the fruit not only of our strict budgeting, but also the long hours I spent at work, the opportunities she had to miss, the hand-me-down clothes she had to wear, and the basically empty house we lived in. And everything was sold or pushed out the door. Okay, maybe not, but we did sell a lot. Though there were a lot of times I felt like a crummy dad because of all the things I was doing. The ability to take an unexpected trip to a restaurant for more cheese balls than we could ever eat affirmed the grind was worth it, incredibly worth it. And not just for me, but everyone in the family. Everyone sacrificed in those days, and now, a few short years later, we have reached true financial freedom. And that's one of the things in my coaching I talk to others. We are not a family that just woke up with a lot of money. We made a lot of dumb choices. Why we, I meant myself and my wife, and we finally said enough's enough. And you'll read in our story early on how we paid off $100,000 in debt. And so I always want to give people hope, and that's what these stories are about. So there's more in there, and I think Steve is going to come back up for another giveaway or two.
First book winner is Megan Slaughter. Is that right? I'm sorry. All right, and then we've got one more thing to give away. This one is not a book. This is actually one free coaching session with Justin. So go ahead and grab out your winner there.
And by the way, if for whatever reason you go, I'm already working with Justin, or I have someone, you can gift this as well. So feel free to gift this to somebody.
It is Mindy. Mindy speak. Awesome. And then I think Justin wanted to share a little bit about some vision casting and a call to action. So I'm going to kind of hand this back over to Justin here.
After wrapping things up, I wanted to share a little bit more about where we're going on this journey. Jessica, one of the things that she said earlier, and thank you for that, thank you earlier, that meant a lot to me, is that I have grown in my confidence in where we're going. My original mission when I started this business 15 years ago was to passionately coach individuals, families, and businesses to make financial decisions that create success and eliminate financial stress. My ultimate passion is to help hurting people. I just happen to know a thing or two about money. And it's really interesting when you're a coach, because I'm actually part pastor, part career coach, part marriage counselor, part therapist. We go through a lot. And it's amazing what people will share with me. After coaching, I've seen people tell me they've quit smoking. It's great. I've had other people tell me they've lost weight. Fantastic. I don't know why I need to know, but some people have told me their sex life has improved. So I've got a new marketing campaign. One of these ways to quit smoking and better sex, I can help. I don't know what clients that will bring, so I will not be bringing that to it. But in all seriousness, that's one of the greatest joys, is not just people winning financially, but the other joys they share along the way that money was just a conduit to have a conversation with. But as I wrote this book, there's always been something rattling in my mind. Ashley brought the Budget Club, which was about a decade ago we started. A couple people called me up and just said, hey, we'd actually like to get together and be held accountable to goals and at the same time share wins. Would you mind facilitating this group? I said, sure. And it was amazing just in this group, the different dynamic than just a one-on-one session. Sure, there's a lot we can get on a one-on-one session, but the dynamic was different. And I don't know if it was better, it was just different. And as I was getting this book closer to launch, this idea of community kept growing and growing and growing. And we're updating our mission now. And that's going to be transforming how people relate with money so that finances are no longer a source of shame, but a pathway to purpose, community, and peace. It's been interesting over the last several weeks. I've been asking my current clients about this idea of community when you're struggling with your finances. And every time I use the word community, you just see this laser beam focus. Tell me more. Sadly, there's a need of community. And so the purpose of our mission is to cultivate a cultural shift and inspire a movement where money talk is fearless. Forgiveness is second nature, and every financial journey is celebrated. To create a world where financial freedom begins with open hearts, honest conversations, and unwavering community support. Empowering every person to talk about money with confidence, compassion, and clarity. Transforming financial conversations into a source of healing and hope. Zach shared his story. I didn't know that. We were just, you're roughing. Haven't got a tea yet. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're getting close.
Oh, it's coming. Thanks. It's coming. But after he shared that story boldly on his podcast, which I encourage you to listen to In-Laws podcast, the next night I'm teaching at a church, these truths, and we had a Q&A session. And I happened to share his story, no names, I keep things confidential. And a gentleman that was in the audience who literally just became saved said, thank you for that story, because I've been harboring bitterness with me, and I need to start working on forgiving myself. So by you opening up to me and on your podcast, the next day open to somebody else. That's community. The lie we believe is that we're supposed to do this money thing alone. The truth is isolating ourselves is the worst way to interact with money. Proverbs 18:1 says, one who isolates himself pursues selfish desires and rebels against all sound judgment. We are designed to be in a community in all areas of our life, and money is no exception. That doesn't mean everyone has to know everything about where you are with money, although our group does, and it's a lot of fun. It simply means that going alone isn't ideal. In fact, it's harmful. And if you've been around the church at all, you know Proverbs 27:17 that says, iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. It's hard to be sharpened when you're isolated. You can only be sharpened when you're in a community with a common vision and a common end goal. And I love this budget club so much that I'm like, can I jump in? Not just to be facilitated, but maybe there's benefit for our family. And at the same time, I was nervous because I'm the money guy. And oh my, how am I going to respond or react? And in one of those meetings, actually, believe it or not, it was in this building, this church building, where, and I don't say everyone has to visit. I mean, we did that time. Here's our budget. We print them out. We show them off, and all these things. I show them off. We show them to them. And one of the guys happened to mention, he goes, hey, can I be honest? It seems like regularly you're talking about your car breaking down. I remember when we used to own those cars, and we switched to Toyota, and we got a Prius, and the gas mileage is way better, and at the same time, we're almost never in the shop. You should really consider you and your family switching to Toyotas. And I don't know why, but that hit me in a weird way. I'm like, no. I'm not going to get one of those recycled milk jugs. Not doing it. And I'm a patriot. I want, made in the USA. That's the kind of guy I am. And no way am I doing this. And it got even a little tense a little bit. And he finally said, dude, why are you so wound up about your Suburban? And I got to tell you, it was a true answer, but a weird answer. And I hope my father-in-law appreciates it. He goes, well, it gives me a lot of bonding time with my father-in-law. We're going to fix the car a lot together. And he goes, that's the reason? And we did enjoy a lot of times together. We have, for sure. And Pepsi is our love language. We speak together. So I think it was Kyle mentioned Pepsi earlier. I had to admit, he was making a good point, because this is back when gas was $4 plus a gallon, and we were deep in debt, and the thing was, you had to push it to run. If you were to see our cars today in the parking lot, you will see a Toyota minivan and a Toyota Prius. In fact, our youngest daughter just bought her first car this week, Toyota Prius. 3 of our 4 adult children, sorry Jada, have Toyotas. Why am I making such a big deal about this? Because one guy, or actually one community, was willing to challenge me and sharpen iron. That has saved us thousands of dollars and lots of stress. At the same time, our kids are having less financial stress, unless your car catches on fire. Then that causes some stress, but hey, that's a small thing. But he didn't do anything, it was just, life happens. But, anyway, I do recommend drivable cars. All these car stories have been bad. I don't recommend cars that are leaking oil going down the road, just so you know. But again, it was that community, that iron sharpened iron, accountability that impacted. A week ago, I was at a conversation with a guy leaving men's group, and he was saying congratulations on the book. And I said, thank you. And he goes, what's next? I go, rest. But after that, I shared this idea of community around money, because money is a very taboo subject, and I want to break that money shouldn't be taboo. And again, not that we share everything on social media, but finding a way to community. And he goes, Justin, I got to tell you, a year ago, our connection group did a financial class. And can I be honest, that financial class brought us closer together. We are deeper connected. Our friendships are tighter. We share more. We do more through a financial class. And again, they weren't sharing all their budgets like what we did, but just by doing it in community, how much deepening the relationship became. The truth is, whether your money, how we interact with money communicates our values. That is what makes money so personal. But what if those values could be improved upon? You heard my story. I already had some solid values like paying cash for cars. But someone else along the journey helped me improve those values and elevate it to a new level that I wouldn't have done on my own. Or if I would have done it on my own, it would have taken a lot more time to get there. But what if your values you hold could impact others? I know some of you in here and other people that I know who have done well financially. What if you could impact others with your story? Or just helping people along the way? In short, being a community fosters growth where everybody wins. So the time is now to stop living in isolation with money and begin living our mission. Transforming how people relate with money so that finances are no longer a source of shame, but a pathway to purpose, community, and peace. So how can you help? I see a lot of you guys have either bought the book or bought the book tonight. Thank you. Please, this is not a guilt trip to buy your book, although your car is locked and you won't get your keys until you bought. No. But guys, seriously, this is the least expensive way I could teach financial freedom. But the more of these I sell, it's not about me, but it's more people getting help. The thing I've learned about coaching is when people hear my name for coaching, it's almost 4 years on average before they come see me. Because there's a lot of shame and guilt and embarrassment. It took one lady 11 years to come see me. So there's an easy way that if you want to either buy a book or gift a book. By the way, we're coming into graduation season. My wife and I are kind of known as the Total Money Makeover Dave Ramsey book graduation gift givers. So if you have a high schooler, I'm not going to give my book. That's a little weird. But we'll be giving out Dave Ramsey books. And I remember one time my wife's like, I don't know, do high schoolers really want a money book? A few days later, one of the moms stopped us at a game. My son has already eaten this book up. He is loving this. Thank you. Kids are hungry. They want to learn. So high school, college graduation, wedding. Oh my gosh, Kyle, you mentioned pre-marriage counseling. Absolutely. This is great. And then also writing a review. I don't know if Steve or somebody talked about that. If you know anything about Amazon, you may or may not know, you need 100 5-star reviews to get that thing to go where it's actually helping you reach people that you wouldn't reach on your own. And so any review you guys can leave would be great. And so if you see these on your table, look like a nice, good bookmark. It gives you the 3 reminders. Buy a book, give a book, leave a review, and then there's a QR code to do that. But also one of the things I would love is any of you guys who are passionate about this, I'm looking for a street team. What is a street team? Is someone that's going to be on mission with me to get these books to as many people as possible. Now, I got a 14-year-old Josiah and a friend of mine in our connection group, Craig. They are ready to parade the town door to door. They are so excited. So be ready. They're coming for you. But if you want to do something, they're not door to door, let me know. I'd love to show you what we can do to help get this into more hands. But then lastly, this idea of community. I mentioned earlier that Jessica and I, in May especially, are really going to take some time off. I mean, I'm going to be working in things, but all the extra stuff's going away. And then in June, in a very, very slow pace, we're going to begin working on building a community around this idea of finances and having conversation. If you are someone that's like, hey, I would love to learn how community can help me, or maybe you're doing well and you want to help others, see myself or my wife Jessica afterwards, or send me an email. Or just most of you guys are local here. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I want it to be beyond just one-on-one coaching. I want to create a community where people can serve one another and help one another as we go. I want to call up Daryl if I can. Daryl was kind enough. I was going to have him to close our time in prayer. Daryl's a good friend of mine. Helps me at men's group on Thursday morning, and even a huge encourager, cheerleader along the way. We share a lot of the same passions and fun things, and so Daryl, it'd be an honor if you would pray for us here.
Thanks for coming tonight. You guys are obviously very well connected to the Bennetts, and it means so much for them to be encouraged by having you here. And the stories that I hadn't heard tonight until you guys spoke up, those were just terrific. And it really just speaks to Justin's fruit in the ministry that he has in helping with financial peace. And our church is going through a series right now on anxiety. And in our society, there is a lot of angst. And money is a very spiritual topic. So what Justin and Jessica put together in this book is fantastic. And I think we ought to pray together fervently that God would multiply the effect of this book. Because, unless we can build a house, but unless God builds it, those who work on it labor in vain. So let's really pray fervently that God will take this and use them. They're willing to be used in this ministry to other people. Let's ask God to help with that. Jesus, we come before you tonight and we praise you that the Bible has over 2,400 verses about finances, and that following you brings peace, and it helps get through life in a way that helps us to then focus more on ministering to those around us. And God, we would ask that you take this book, Level Up Your Finances, that you would multiply it, Lord. Help it to be used to help people to find it. Help them to find it as they go out and look for help with money. And I pray, God, that as we help promote it, that people will help find it, and that as we give it as gifts, that it will just multiply, and it will be just so many more people, Lord, can be affected, and your kingdom can be built and strengthened as a result of this book. Thank you for the gifts that you've put into Justin and Jessica and their family. Thank you for his persistence. Thank you for his love of helping people and his sensitivity to listening to people and his directness in talking with people, and people like it. Just pray for a blessing upon him and his family, God, and on this ministry and on their future. And we pray that fervently, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thanks, Daryl, and Steve, our awesome MC, one last time. And again, can we give a hand to Steve and all the volunteers, please? All of our kids helped out today, and that was great. Emily, thank you. Craig, Carissa, thank you. Steve, thank you. Daryl, thank you very much for doing that. Jada, thanks for the pictures, doing awesome. If I left anyone out, I don't. Oh yeah, Rosa, the sound, awesome job, way to go. And good job hiding the flowers for me too. And that was awesome. So Steve, close us out.
All right, so this is kind of the end of the program, but does not have to be the end of the time. Feel free to hang out. There's still some more snacks back there. We're also going to have the photo booth open where you can get a picture with Justin, give him one of those like knucklehead ones or something like that, do some goofy things. Go ahead and post those up on Facebook, social media, whatever it is that you use, whatever the cool kids are using these days. Yeah, feel free to hang out. Justin will be over there getting photos, and we'll have some cool jazz music playing again for a little while. Again, thank you all for coming. It's great to be able to be here with you all, and it's so fun to get to celebrate our friend Justin. So thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Get your grubby clothes.